behind near every bar around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got fired from my last job. Hot-wired a city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Beat my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his football bet. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Good old boys, we're all the same. Ain't no way we'll ever change. Ain't no harm by the things we do or the trouble that we get into. Other than a wild hair once.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Ash, Brent with you. Glad you're all here. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, follow.
Do you think,
make a comment, help us grow the show on the interwebs, especially on the YouTube side of things. I don't want them to take us off or throttle us. So if you get over there, please do that. And for those on Magic, thank you all for joining us this morning, everybody.
do you think that as we start easing towards Masters Week, should we start opening the show with, hello, friends, Jim Nance here?
No, I want people to tune in.
Okay. Is there anything like so you're a journalism guy by nature, by training. Is there anything really ever in our lifetime more overexposed than Brent Musburger? Remember when he was the darling of media, and then all of a sudden he was everywhere, and then he left and went to ABC, and then they made him do because all of a sudden
football because they had to justify paying him what they were paying him
like $10 gazillion. There's Greg Garcia. Saw him yesterday with his daughter Shelby, and I walked through, and he goes, "Hey, Brent, Greg Garcia." I go, "More." He goes, "I'm never going to live that down." I said, "No, the truth is I should have said F because it was afternoon." Yeah, so good morning, my dudes.
The only one that works is evening.
Great friend of
Ricky
the program.
King, Scott Tomko, Rena Scherer on the podium this morning. Good morning. Thanks for being bright and early and spontaneous. We like it.
The Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed. Tell you what, my yard, come by and look at it. Even the clover that's trying to die is green. The yard looks phenomenal.
If you let that clover pop a little bit, though, it attracts bees. I just learned that.
Is that good?
It's good because the bee population is still doing
I've already bought I went to one of the box stores and I bought the spray that you use to kill wasps. Yellow jackets.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with wasps. It's yellow jackets. Man, I get like Section 8 housing from yellow jackets. Where like I don't just get like the little nest. I've got like a condominium complex hanging in my eave up there where there's like 900. But it is so satisfying to zap them from up to 25 feet and then just watch them just fall. And they're coming right at me, and I just stand there in defiance, and then they fall at my feet.
Put on your Wonder Woman bracelets and deflect them.
It's like Trump with the Houthis. 71 degrees in Victoria under partly cloudy skies. Should be cloudy and windy all day. The high today is 84. No real forecast of any precipitation. So we're good there.
Yeah. Bobby Leister checking in. Sarah Elkins, Junior Samples, Judge Posey, Micah Patton, Justin
Hi, Judge.
Glass.
We're going to have lunch with the judge later this week. We just don't know when.
Scott Snow, Linda Christ, Monty Howard, good morning. Tammy Keeling, Heather Stewart, Sherry Jacobs, Jordan Glass.
There's Mom.
Good
Mom's
morning.
up.
Lisa Poole, Scott Tomko, Blake McCracken. Scott says, welcome to the old man club. Brent, proud of that yard.
Yeah, why is it when I watch those progressive commercials and the guys trying to help those people from not become their dad, I'm like, I think it's a documentary. Yeah. It's like it doesn't offend me. Buddy, that's Riker. And very interesting because I find they're hilarious commercials.
So apparently in town, there's Wendy Garcia.
There's Wendy
Garcia.
Good morning.
Oh, that's her.
Yeah, that's the other half. Yeah. But if she said Ning, then it would yin to his
Yeah,
yang.
there you go,
He's
yeah.
at yin to his yang.
But she's giving him a hard time
because
she can.
She can.
So the ne'er-do-gooders in this town think they're going to make a huge difference this Saturday.
Should we even promote it?
Well, it's more a commentary on things because, Elon really cares about what the folks in
the 8 Democrats in Victoria think about anything.
I'm going to give you guys a tip, and I know some of you are probably listening.
Oh, of course they're listening. Hi, Mike Gomez. Good morning, sir.
He won't be there. But seriously, take your protest time, take your efforts, instead of standing in front of the Patty Dodson on Navarro.
Get your electric mower.
Get your electric mowers. Get your electric weed eaters, your battery-powered weed eaters, and go across the street behind Veracruz and Tejas and in that area.
Wouldn't that be nice?
And start mowing people's yards that are overgrown.
People who care.
You really want to make a difference?
Yeah.
That would be a difference. You would do something that no other protesters are doing. Most of them, in fact, are, destroying buildings, occupying them, leaving dirt and litter and
don't try that
behind.
In Victoria. Don't try that here. If you occupy a building here, there'll be many fewer of you.
That would be the thing to do.
They're just waiting to break out that SWAT gear. Fewer liberals.
That would be the thing to do.
Yeah, I don't
then you
understand.
might actually get attention to your protest, and then they can ask you, "What are you protesting?" Well, Elon Musk cuts. Which, by the way,
are so stupid. Yeah. You're just stupid if you're against DOGE. Sorry, that's the way it is. Not the way I see it. That's the way it is. If you're against every Democrat, all the way through Clinton, including Barack Obama. Every Democrat has said through every tenure, we got to limit the size of government. We got to spend more wisely. We've got to make cuts.
Because all it has been is an empty promise and a talking point to get elected or try to get elected.
So now somebody actually does it, and people are so stupid. They're coming after my Social Security. My mom will be the first one to tell you. She got an announcement the other day, 3.7% increase. Roughly the same increase she got the year before. We both agree it doesn't match the cost of inflation, certainly under the Biden administration or the Trump administration. However, the cutting of administrative waste is not attacking your Social Security benefit. What are you freaking out about?
Well, there's another dog.
Go, close the door. We can only have one dog in the studio. Lay down somewhere. How did that dog get up here? Oh, Mr. Cayman's now a dog wrangler. Well, why don't you hold the Riker dog? Chill out. I didn't know it was Buddy and Friends. The puppy is go to Cody. Anyway, if you're crazy enough to believe that Elon Musk is going to make the Republicans more popular by cutting your benefits, you're just an idiot.
Well, what's really funny is listening to some of these conversations and discussions with Elon and his gang about what they're actually doing.
Scott Tomko says that's a first.
That is a first.
It's just kind of a,
yeah.
It's just kind of a zoo here.
And you would think if anybody was going to be involved in the dog stuff, it's me.
Beast Ball says got to be a violation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Tammy Keeling points out funny stuff. It's live radio. Live radio is what happens. It's and that's why you're here and that's why we're here. You never know what's going to happen. There's BJ Nelson.
But what I find interesting with all this is listening to Elon and the DOGE folks talk about this. 0.15%. 0.15%.
Not 1.5%.
Less than 0.15%, in fact.
1/7 of 1%
have actually been fired during all of this from the federal government. The rest have taken.
They've volunteered to leave.
Early retirement. They've taken advantage of the 8 months severance with pay to go find another job. in the private sector.
But the fact that any American taxpayer is offended on behalf of a government worker who's asked to tell us 5 things you did this week. I didn't elect Elon Musk. I don't answer to Elon Musk. Hey, a lot of people didn't answer to John Kerry when he was appointed to do things. But they sure did answer to John Kerry. They didn't elect him.
Yeah. And then you got Cory Booker. I don't know if that was this morning or last night in the Senate or yesterday. There's an interesting thing. Watching some of this early morning Senate stuff, and they're speaking. It says live, and there's nobody in there. Like, do they give nothing? I mean, I don't know. Anyway, that's a different rant.
I think they're just trying to read stuff into the congressional record, but there's nobody there. I mean, just Booker. In fact, I bet Booker was like, okay, I'll go sit in there so we can,
Yeah. So Cory Booker's talking about all these cuts to the DOJ and how they're making our elections less secure. Listen to the BS. Because Cory Booker and the Dems were the first ones to tell you that the 2020 elections were the most secure elections in the history of this country. But now that Donald Trump is cutting spending at the DOJ, our elections are less secure than ever.
Yeah, he said they're cutting essential workers, the people who keep our elections safe. Sean Brett says he's been going for 12 plus hours. He probably has. I don't know. It's definitely live government. There's things being done with executive order, which, by the way, the Democrats paved the way for. I mean, Joe Biden did everything by executive order, many of which he didn't even know what they were. There you go. Monty Harris said it's called special orders. I agree. Okay, let's see. BJ Nelson says they should not include Social Security and Medicare, as that was money paid in by employees and employers to be used in retirement. It has worked out that way, but that was its intent. Think how Social Security money could have helped build our country if it had been put into private investments. No doubt about it. But the only reason they're including Social Security and Medicare is to cut the unnecessary overhead associated with disseminating those funds. They're not cutting the benefit.
$600,000 lease in Victoria.
Exactly.
Or whatever it is.
$300,000 a year lease in Victoria.
That's what it was.
Tell them about
40%
Columbia.
Well, I don't know if, we'll get to that. 40%. This is another thing that they found out in actually going through what goes on at Social Security. The DOGE group analyzed the calls. This is what they don't tell you. The Democrats don't want to actually tell you what the DOGE group is doing.
No.
They just want to tell you they're coming after your Social Security.
Fear is how they control you.
In analyzing the calls that Social Security get, the majority of them are people that want to change their direct deposit to their Social Security. 40% of the calls they get are actually fraudulent calls from scammers trying to convince Social Security folks that they are the recipient and they want to change the direct deposit so that the money goes into the scammer's bank account.
Grandma dies, and my grandmother needs help changing her bank account.
Or they just pretend they're the person.
Absolutely.
40% of the calls are scammers. Try calling your bank, and unless they really, really know you getting anything done over the phone, it ain't going to happen at your bank. But Social Security allows people to call up to change direct deposit information.
It's craziness.
Blows my mind. And 40% of those calls are scammers. Be interesting if we called Social Security right now, how long the wait would be.
Oh, man.
And you're in line for 40%. And then Columbia University earlier this week.
National Institutes of Health involved, right?
Well, no, yeah, because they started protesting the funding cuts, right? Oh, it's going to hurt our research. One climate change scientist there. I'm not stopping my research. Good. But why is Colombia the centerpiece of all these protests now? Palestinians, Hamas. Nobody, by the way, and I can't remember the gentleman's name, and God rest his soul. The Palestinians grabbed a anti-Hamas protester off the streets of Gaza the other day.
Made him a professor at Columbia. Now he teaches Middle Eastern studies.
Yeah. No, they tortured him for 4 hours, brutally beat him, sodomized him, and then killed him. But nobody's going to talk about that because Hamas is peaceful. They just want the peace for the people in the Middle East and the Palestinians.
It's all they care about.
It's all they care about. They took one of their own protesting the government. Nobody's going to do that on Navarro in front of the Patty Dodson on Saturday from the Trump administration. Nobody's going to come over there, grab one of them, beat them brutally for 4 hours, torture them, slash their bodies with tiny cuts,
right?
Rip out their fingernails, stick a broom handle up their rear, and then kill them. Like what happened to this 20-something-year-old gentleman in Gaza who was exposing Hamas for what they are and then felt the wrath of what Hamas actually is. And we're not going to hear that. And you sure as hell ain't going to see anybody at Columbia University protest that because they're too busy protesting the reaction from a country that had the worst terrorist attack ever in its history. That's what Hamas, and then the Palestinians stood by and watched this guy get taken off the streets while he was protesting. That's what Columbia does.
You usually have to spend a long road trip on a junior college baseball team bus to get treated as badly as that guy got treated.
I know you're trying to make light of it.
No, I'm seeing the veins are poking out of the side. I know, and you're right.
Because the world won't point out what Hamas actually is, like you and I have all the time.
Consistently accurate. I hate being
right
all the time because it's not always pleasant stuff. And then people get mad at us over it, but we're just right.
Yeah.
This DOGE thing is a great thing.
And then I heard this morning, and I don't remember the university, but it was on the Patriot Channel on Sirius this morning, and I don't remember which university it was because I kind of caught it late. But one university that receives NIH funds, 60% of their funds was going to the research. That was it. 40% was going, I don't know where, overhead, hiring people to do nothing.
But you said now that they've been cut,
or
now
threatened to be cut,
85% of the money has to go to the research, and only 15% can go to overhead.
Yeah.
Is this a bad thing? I mean, they're getting less money. So to get the same 60% to the research, now it's got to be 85% to the research, and they only have 15% left over.
Yeah.
For overhead. I have no problem with that.
85% of that money should have been going there in the first place. Think of how much further that research could have been if it was actually good research and not stupid crap.
Anything that reduces the size of the federal government, an organization that raises no money except from taking from you. They have no product to sell. They have no revenue. They just have taxes. Anything that reduces the size of the federal government and especially returns power to the states is by definition American. That's what America's all about. States' rights. We come together to do a couple of things: balance a budget, protect our shores, and leave us the hell alone. Let's take a quick break.
So my blood pressure can
I'm
come
just
down.
telling you, I'm monitoring your pulse at this moment by looking at your jugular. Dollar Floor Store, folks. Get in, get some new flooring. When ash falls out, it's going to be on a hardwood laminate. It's not going to fall out on carpet with gum and dog poop in it. He's going to fall out on a nice new laminate floor brought into you by the Dollar Floor Store. Go by and see them today. They're on North Navarro. Palace Bingo, a date to be announced soon. It's titillating. We like to make you wait. Wait for it. Wait for it. USA Concrete Coating.
I was waiting.
Sand it, seal it, stain it, paint it, whatever you want done to your concrete floor. You can ask Junior samples. I'm going to have Junior in. Ash is gone Friday, Monday, and Tuesday, just a couple of 3-day follow-ups for his rehab. And he'll be there trying to sort out his feelings.
I just sorted them all out. We're
I
good
think
now.
this weekend they're going to have why don't you and I tent camp at the Patty Dodson over the weekend and just come out in we look like a Hawkeye and Trapper John in our robes with our martini glasses and come out and harass people. I'll do that with you. Tamara Steer says she's listening on the radio. She's laughing about recovering blood pressure. Veracruz Restaurant. It's pre-called Tuesday. I mean, it's the D-Day to get in.
Called it Wednesday Eve.
That's right.
Better
Get in. Tell Leonida that we sent you. I went by the other day just to say hi. And, man, the place was hopping. I saw people from Going Electric there. I saw people from all over. I mean, I just saw the Trots were there. Lots of folks I know were there. And Brian Ferguson, Quinn Burris. Nice group of folks. And Quinn Burris. So get in and check it out. Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300.
All your towing needs, they are our go-to. I've called them every single time.
They're
battery
the
jumps
best.
to actual tows.
They're the very best. It's Tuesday.
Yep. Chop and block the day before Wacky Wing Wednesday.
Yeah, tomorrow's a great day to go in. The wings are cheap. They're pre-marinated. They are perfect in an air fryer, or I like to put them down and put them on a cookie sheet and just bake them. Because now that I'm Mr. Health, I don't eat fried stuff much.
Tuesday, today,
What is it?
they are going to have brisket street tacos, meatloaf, and brisket on the
Man.
trailer.
Go to the trailer for lunch. The trailer out in front of Chop and Block is just gourmet.
Yep. And just so you know, all their frying at the truck done with real beef tallow.
Oh, yeah, which is, by the way, all the rage now that, you're seeing noted physicians saying, hey, start cooking that in butter. There's a reason your great-grandparents lived to be 100.
Always did.
Yeah. It's a cow byproduct. White Trash Services and White Trash Site Services. BJ Nelson, a great listener, a great friend, period.
Yep.
Give them a call, 550-1826. Super good folks, super diligent. Like you'll say to yourself, oh, come on, it's trash service. If they tell you they're going to be there on Wednesday, they're there on Wednesday. And if something's wrong or something changes, you get a phone call.
They don't take July 4th off.
No.
Unless it's a Sunday, maybe.
Absolutely. In fact, BJ said, have the election on a national holiday. Our trucks will still be running. I like it. Make it a Monday. No. Would you make it a Friday? Everybody gets a long weekend? If it's on the 2nd of November and you have to have it like on a Wednesday, kind of breaks up the week.
It does.
I don't know.
Can't make it. Well,
I think all holidays should create a long weekend.
Yeah.
That's what I think. Either Easter, you celebrate it on Monday.
Some do.
By the
Easter
way,
Monday.
Dawn works for a contractor that subs out to the FAA. She gets Juneteenth off. She gets MLK Day off. She doesn't get
She
Good
gets
Friday.
Labor Day off.
She doesn't get Good Friday.
So you think we should just move the birth of Christ so that way it's convenient?
Do you really think he was born on December 25th?
Not at all.
I just asking.
It's just a day.
Just asking. Solid point, though. Do you see the way he comes at you hard, though?
Yep.
Should we just move the birth of Christ? Unbelievable, this guy. It's challenging, Ash, between your BP and Commander Cody's acerbic wit.
BP's good now.
Are you good? You're back?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, come on, stay loose. Shake it out, man. I need you for 2 more innings.
Assertive wit still here.
Speaking of 2 more innings, the Astros update, not a good one. Astros lose last night, 7-2 to a really scrappy New York Giants? Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Go with it.
Back
San
in the
Francisco
day.
Giants program. They were good.
7-2. They'll continue that series today.
B. Small says pre-marinated wings. I like my stuff marinated after it's cooked. That's because you're usually pickled by the time it's done.
They marinate them. That's the best part. You don't have to do anything. You just take them home and dump them in the air fryer or on the grill.
How about that? BJ Nelson says, call one of our team. They had record-breaking new start customers in March. Let's break those numbers so we can serve even more folks. No doubt about it. Wade and Carter,
Help.
the little radio show that built White Trash Services, to ignore the yellow legal pad and all the 75-hour weeks that the Nelsons have worked. It's purely a Wade and Carter event, right? Fair enough.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just looking to see if
Let's
any
get our
team in the
friend in here.
majors is going to go undefeated.
No, nobody's going undefeated.
Yankees are, well, not for the year, but Yankees are 3-0, Dodgers and Padres 6-0, and everybody else has at least one loss. Atlanta still doesn't have a win. Neither do the Brewers. Neither does Minnesota.
Only because Junior Samples cares as little about sports as I do about the Democrat protest. Ash says, what are your thoughts? He says, ask Ash, what are your thoughts about the new baseball bat?
I don't know.
Have you seen this bat?
No, I have not seen this bat.
So it's
the one that
kinda-
looks like a pencil.
No, yeah, with the eraser on the end. That's cute, isn't it? No, the bat is, it looks normal, the handle. It goes up, and then the barrel is there, and then it tapers down towards the end. They call it the torpedo bat.
Oh.
I don't see any difference, but
It's kind of like those wooden joiners that hold things together.
sort of like Blake McCracken adds. Look, Eli De La Cruz, I'm sorry, used the torpedo bat last night, 4 for 5 with 2 bombs and 7 RBIs. So the bat itself put all those runners on base, and that's amazing to me.
And the bat swung itself to go 4 for 5. Man, this. They need to find this technology so that the anti-2A folks can find the gun that actually shoots itself to kill people.
Right? The idea would be that you take, instead of all the weight being at the end of the bat, you put the weight back towards the barrel of the bat. The obvious solution is to either pitch batters away or pitch them inside. I don't care what stick you get up there. If I'm throwing it 95 miles an hour and I can make it move, good luck hitting it.
I haven't paid attention to this one.
Yeah, that's a big deal. The Yankees have been using it. Judge hit 3 bombs the other night in one game.
Judge hits 3 bombs
every night.
Yeah.
Let's get, sir, do you have time? Are you busy? I don't want to interfere. Buddy Cayman's in there in the lobby watching cable.
Oh, man, he brought it like a binder of notes.
Oh,
this could be epic.
This could be watch your cables there, boss. Could be an epic deal.
Well, I don't have any Elon news. I don't have any Sleepy Joe news, but
there's a handful of things we want to pick your brain about that. So you ran a business here for 50 years. Didn't you pretty much do DOGE every day?
listen, that is what our city needs is DOGE.
He's jumping right into it.
Didn't even go into
the deep into the pool. And
didn't even want to take that tapered bat and hit your softball out of the park.
I didn't even see his floaties, and he jumped right into the deep into the pool. We're joined by Buddy Cayman. I've known Mr. Cayman a long time, and I've never known anybody more in touch with the pulse of our community, and a tireless promoter of especially our first responders, and a huge friend of Citizens Hospital. Very, very active with the police department. I saw where our friend Robert Arredondo was named a finalist. I mean, you gave him a place to live, and I made sure that his gut worked. We pumped it full of probiotics. I joked with him. I said, you were here a year and a half, and 9 months you were on work comp, and now you're getting promoted to be the Dallas police chief.
Oh, he's always been, in my mind, cut from a very special piece of cloth.
Yes, sir.
But then again, we got Chuck Young, who took his place, and gosh, what a guy.
He's good, isn't he?
What a guy. What a guy. But you know what? We've got some major issues in our town. And first and foremost is this deal about putting $30 million more into the community center. I mean,
what are your thoughts on that?
It's just crazy. I mean, absolutely. It's like putting lipstick on a pig.
I've heard a lot of people use that reference to what they're trying to do at the community center, and
I'm not
necessarily going to argue with them. I've long never liked that
our
location.
town is gonna, I think, really explode thanks to Chancellor John Sharp, Jeannie Morrison, Andy Latterback for having this extension of A&M come to our town.
I agree.
And you know, we're going to have some monies. But the main deal is we want to showcase this community. And you're not showcasing it with a 1960 vintage building in an area that has no hotels, no restaurants. Lighting is
Terrible
poor.
streets.
Terrible streets.
Access is not the greatest.
It's terrible access. You can't, I mean, it's hard to even get directions to get
You can't
there.
even get it in the GPS right.
True story.
So, you know, it should be a center like Fort Bend County has right off of 59. I've asked this guy who calls
the epicenter.
Yeah.
Yeah, the epicenter.
Yeah. I've called this. I've spoken with this guy that's so-called city manager. And
He's referring to Jesus Garza,
Yeah,
city manager.
yeah.
Oh, I thought he was referring to Fort Bend
No,
County.
no. I mean, okay. So, I mean,
and you know, I've asked him, why would you do, what is the purpose of this? All of a sudden we need a $30 million deal for the hotel tax and blah, blah, blah. There's more important things. It's like I said about public safety. I mean, we are so down in cops right now.
And I know the money from the hotels can't be used to pay police. Maybe we should revisit that somehow. I don't know.
it's our money. Why can't we revisit it? Shouldn't we be able to pass a referendum and address that money?
Actually, that might actually require us a bill in the legislature to actually change that. But anyway, I didn't know. I didn't mean to interrupt, but kind of wanted to see where you're going with this, buddy.
No,
Just pointing out that money from motel tax can't be used to pay police. It has to go to things that drive tourism.
Do you not also find it interesting? I'm all for, and I totally agree that we've outgrown our police station downtown, but we're spending 50+ million. We know
60.
It's going to be more than that. We know
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
They haven't even gone to Cayman Furniture yet to buy any furniture for that place. And you know what that's going to do.
Well, the other thing too is there are people that are worried that if we ever get torrential rains, all that dirt they moved, it's just completely changed the watershed there.
Well, let me just say this. It's the worst location it could be. I will say hats off to our former mayor, Bulk Knight. He and I got together one day and I was telling him how terrible of a location, because what happens if we have a major catastrophe on the east side of town and you got the coal train coming through? What happens there?
Solid point.
All the way up to the loop, and then you got to make
Yeah.
a left, and then over the overpass, and then around.
Yeah.
BJ Nelson asked, do you think the new building, the building of our new safety city building, the police station, will that help recruit new police officers? I say not as much as an extra $10,000 a year.
That's exactly right. I mean, there's a pay study going on right now, but it's not going to be enough. Do you realize that we have Victoria cops in Goliad? Now, what's wrong with that? I mean, that's crazy. They're paying more in Goliad than they're paying here in Victoria.
Ricky King says it'd be nice if they could at least get enough firemen to staff a shift and not have overtime every single day on shift and have a full police department also. Yeah, it would be nice.
If you weren't paying overtime to the firemen, you could pay more to the police.
Well, public safety to our city government has always been a problem. They just think that cops and fire guys are in the same arena as the road guys or the water guys. This is the only two departments that you have to tell your spouse, I hope to see you in the morning. I hope to see you in the evening. They don't do that in the other departments of our city.
And in all fairness, you can replace a road guy a lot easier than you can replace an officer.
Well, I think that's part of the problem too. We've skimped on the roads, and look at how bad our roads have gotten over the years. But anyway,
it's just not working. And
BJ Nelson says we have plenty of firemen who live here and work in other towns, and that's all about compensation.
That's right. I mean, it's just a real easy fix. I think that everybody needs to remember when these re-elections come up for the city council, we need to clean house, just like Elon has done throughout our country right now. There's a woman on city council by the name of April Butler. And she's the strongest of them all. And that includes that mayor who calls himself a mayor, who asked her to be quiet, asked her to shut up one time on city council issues. So, it's just a cluster.
Now, let's go ahead and run this. This is uncharted territory for us. We got Sheriff Louderback calling in, our House District 30 state rep. Let's see if he's there. Sheriff, you
Good
there?
morning.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning,
morning.
sir.
Here.
Now, were you listening? Did you call in
You
response?
might be able to hear on those.
You might be able to
buddy.
hear on that. Did you call in response to our conversation with Buddy Kamen?
Yes, and appreciate Mr. Kamen so much on his interest in especially in the law enforcement, public safety sector. So he's back to blue 100%. And my only comment today to support what he's talking about is we've got way too many openings in the police department, and I mean it's a system. We're just losing veteran officers left and right, and that puts us in a training situation where we've got young cops training younger cops, and so not a very attractive position at all. So I'm behind Mr. Kamen trying to get the necessary raises and necessary benefits up to keep these guys here in Victoria.
We're joined by House District Rep, District 30 State Rep, the Honorable AJ Louderback. And sir, we've heard it said before. I know it's not news to you, but it really resonated with me. Oh, it's been 5 or 6 years ago now when T. Michael O'Connor, then the sheriff, said, he goes, Carter, you can't look at law enforcement as an expense. You have to look at law enforcement as an investment in your community. Just because we're blessed, in part by having a non-existent newspaper that doesn't report anything, and the fact that Ash and I don't dwell on it, we're blessed to a degree to not have a huge criminal presence in our community. But at the same time, having young officers train younger officers is exactly like having the swamper on an oil field, crew. All of a sudden, he's got an F-250 and he's running all over the highways at night at high speed, and you start seeing all the accidents and things. So, we mentioned before you joined us that Mr. Kamen has been a tireless supporter of our law enforcement community. And how do you fix it, sir? How do we get, is it just going to take a reallocation of tax dollars? Does it take a bond of some type? How do we fix this for our first responders?
Well, I think it'll take a coordinated effort. My way of thinking, you bring your veterans in along with Chief Young, and you start a discussion on exactly what's going on and why they're leaving Victoria, and you'll find out pretty quick what the problem is. You give them an opportunity to speak freely and clearly about what's happening at Victoria PD. That you'll come to an answer pretty quick.
There you go.
Andy, I think you'll agree that, we've never really had, I've been here all my life, 75 years, any true transparency within our city hall, much less city councilman. And like you said, if you ask any cop, any fire guy, we've lost a tremendous amount of experience, captains, lieutenants, with our fire department. We were down 17, 18 fire guys. These weren't just, young cadets. And it's all about the pay. That's why I've always said you cannot take first responders and group them into other city employee departments. They've got to have a separate department for first responders. Sugarland just did this about 4 months ago. They finally woke up. So we've got to have a new house cleaning. We got to get a new city manager in here and assistant people out of the realm. We can't afford all this 6-figure salaries that we pay so-called leadership. It just has to change. It really does.
Ricky King says, I'll put it up there and then read it to you. I'm very scared that it's going to take a major catastrophe and losing a police officer or a firefighter for the city to start doing something different and understand what public safety has to be. And on the back end of that, we won't really know what caused it until after. And when they realize that we didn't have enough personnel on site or experienced personnel, then you might get the wake up. Then you might get the wake up call.
Solid. Somebody just said, Christy Thurman says, implement a local DOGE for 12 months and look where and how much is being utilized in the local government. It's not a bad, bad
That's
idea.
a great idea. Great idea.
Well, man, it all appreciate you, buddy. And, man, it all starts with a discussion. So appreciate
Amen.
y'all starting the discussion about it, and got to run. See y'all
Hey,
next
go
time.
give
Thank
him
you.
hell. There you go.
State Representative
AJ
Louderback,
Louderback.
thanks for calling in. tuning
Appreciate
in.
him listening. He's in Austin. He listens in every morning. We appreciate that. Why don't we just put Buddy Kamen in charge of it? He ain't doing nothing. His son runs the business. What else is Buddy doing?
BJ asked, why are fire and police able to retire so early? I don't know if they're retiring so early. I think so many of them started so early.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot of them start young. And we've got a good program here to, I remember hearing Chief Craig told me, this was before Robert Arredondo got here. He said, by the time we take a kid who's qualified and determined to be a police officer, by the time we train him, before he's ever on the street by himself, he costs the city $100,000.
That's right.
And he goes, and it is unfathomable to me that we would take a person that cost $100,000 to employ, underpay him to the point that as soon as he's free of us, he leaves and goes to Missouri City, Sugar Land, Goliad.
You got the same thing with the fire guy.
Yeah.
You
I'll
train.
also tell you, I got a dear friend
Or girl.
but a dear friend that's a highly trained volunteer fireman. And he said one thing about working with the Victoria Fire Department, for years, he always felt like those guys were super qualified, super trained. They had my back, I had their back. He goes, and it seems kind of silly to talk about, but until you walk into a burning building or you walk into a field that's got flames over your head, you want to know that guy's there and he knows what to do and what happens if the wind changes. And he said, and we don't have that now.
No, we don't.
We don't have that right now in this community. And a lot of the best and brightest have retired. I mean, our own Precinct 3 County Commissioner, Shannon Martin. Correct name, right?
World's greatest neighbor, Wendell Geigel.
Wendell Geigel. These guys retired and they're still
Plenty young.
That's Mr. Kamen. Don't let the show in. You need to take a call. You go ahead.
You know, the city is so famous, like I said, for no transparency. And then they're going to do this smoke and mirror thing on the community center.
What do you think should have been done there, buddy? Talking about $30 million in today's day and age, and
It's just not much money,
well,
really.
it's probably not enough to build what they want to build, but it might have been a good start to getting there. I don't know where you fund the rest of it, to be honest. But here's part of the problem: the city. Maybe if the city didn't require as much stuff to go into a building, could shave some of the cost off. I don't know.
Well, I think that there needs to be an audit, just like that one of your call-ins said, of just auditing every department. Do we have all the cross training within those departments?
Mm-hmm.
Can we do without? But I remember when one of the city managers was here, and he made the statement about we're open for business. We run away more business with these builders and developers than we bring in because of goofy stuff that on these permits. I remember my friend Phil Solomon with Ace Hardware. They weren't going to let him open because his steps were 2 inches too short.
Oh yeah, it's the dumbest garbage ever.
Remember?
Yeah, it's the dumbest garbage ever.
Had people on payrolls, blah, 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 blah. And he talked to the fire marshal and he said, we followed everything in OSHA right here. And he said, we don't care about OSHA. This is Victoria.
Yeah, the thing that gets me is, and what Mr. Kamen's referring to is something that's not new, and it's not something I throw at our, say, current mayor or current city council. It's a systemic cancer that dominates our economic development here in Victoria. So say that you find an old building and it's just a dump. It's a dump. And you say, I'm going to buy it and I'm going to renovate it with my own money. Then I hope to lease it out. Well, you can do that, but now you've got to have this ingress and that egress, and you've got to have a stairwell in the back. And since you're
and a
buying
sidewalk out front that nobody will ever use.
You've got to put the sidewalk out front. And I'm like, hey, whoa. What they do is they shove all these, if you will, unfunded mandates down on the developer. And as a result, people just say, well, I ain't gonna mess with it.
Never
it's
get
too
it back.
much hassle. I can't make any money off of it. And it's just the dumbest thing ever.
I think I've talked about this once before. I don't remember the name of the company. It doesn't matter. They have a piece of property that abuts city and county, and they wanted to make some improvements to their yard. And the city said, well, you got to do this, and this. And it was going to cost them a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Basically a lay down yard for materials. They're going to have to pave it all. And they said, you know what? Screw it. We're going to move it over to this side of the piece of property because it's not under your jurisdiction.
Well,
they went and did that. Didn't cost them anything.
Just so you know, Judge Posey said, thank you for all you've done for many years on behalf of law enforcement and first responders. Ricky King, thank you, buddy, for all you've done for the fire department and the police department. But, it wasn't that long ago. The city council tried to lean hard on Shoppas, on the John Deere dealership.
Oh, yeah.
And Shoppa said, wait a minute. Because you've got some city ordinance that says that anything that's parked, see, they made a big deal. Mr. Hartman out there on 87 going towards Cuero, he was grandfathered in, rightfully so, because he parked vehicles kind of what is his yard. But everybody else anywhere inside the city has to have a paved parking lot. You can't have dirt or gravel and park your cars on it. It's got to be either paved or concrete. Well, Shoppas sells tractors, pieces of equipment that will never be on pavement.
Except when they're traveling.
Yeah. And they're sitting on a large grass field, and the city tried to lean on them and said, you need to pave that. And Shoppas said, we'll move out of your town.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We need to clean house, get some fresh eyes, some fresh minds and educated people.
But you can't legislate that this is going to be a beautiful community. First of all, it's never going to be a beautiful town.
Well, it's funny you would bring that up. We keep on talking about make Victoria beautiful and what have you. Victoria can be beautiful, not just 463. Let's work on the south side of the town. We have,
okay, Raleigh. Let's build an HEB down there.
Yeah, let's do something.
I think there's a Dollar General.
Can you build an HEB on stilts?
Adam Sugar says, when there's an affordable housing shortage, the city wants to fix it by building housing themselves. Well, and then they leverage federal government money to do it and call it Section 8, right?
Right.
And I brought this example up. The city of Calgary, where I grew up, had lots and lots of things like here. Lots of permitting needing. They got into regulating what people can do in their homes and their basements. People used to take their basements and turn them into suites. And then the city said, well, you can't do that. It's an illegal suite if we don't permit it, regulate it, and legislate it. Well, then there became a housing crunch of affordable housing. And these things used to be the affordable housing. Now, all of a sudden, the city of Calgary's gone, you know what? We're just going to suspend all our regulations on this. Start doing your basement suites because we need to find places for people to live that are affordable.
I'll never forget, Wade. I put a new driveway in at our house that we used to live. And I wanted to put a new approach into the driveway.
Mm-hmm.
I was told by the city, if I take up that approach, I have to put in a sidewalk. Now, isn't that crazy?
Just the dumbest thing ever. BJ Nelson with a solid point. She said, instead of using city money to improve our community center, why don't we get VEDC to go find a full service hotel to come to town that can have training and events? She says, I planned and implemented a national trash haulers convention in the fall, and we only had one hotel in town that could meet our needs. We brought in money from all over the country, and it was difficult to plan.
I don't know all the reasons why. Several have tried. The hotels will not come here because we're a 2-hour drive from everywhere was one of the reasons that I heard in some of these discussions. And so that they like to go to a place where basically you get off out of an airport and you're in the city where you need to be, unless there's a real touristy reason to go an hour or two outside that airport, which we don't have, obviously. But we don't have the traffic that would support that type of hotel 12 months out of the year.
Well, I had a meeting some weeks ago with Steve Roth, and Steve and our past mayor, my best friend, Raleigh McCoy, they developed a deal some years ago extending airline through underneath 463 with the University of Houston. And we were going to have a convention center there, a hotel there, the whole deal. Paco Bueller, who passed away, donated the land. The city, the county never got behind it. I mean, it was just crazy.
Well, you know, and we're ahead. We're putting the cart in front of the horse, but let's just say that A&M does come to Victoria. That's all approved and it happens. You know, Callie Frommy says, hey, BJ just mentioned efforts on the south side. Seems like a revamped community center would instigate development down there. No, it won't. It won't. It's not going to change anything down there. You still got Stroman across the street. I mean, you need to bulldoze that. Nothing's going to help.
It's not the location. We want people coming in to our town to see this
Sugar Land
center.
didn't put the epicenter in the middle of or on the south side of Sugar Land or somewhere that wasn't accessible. It's right there in 59. But that brings up another point that I've made constantly on this show over the years. This city has run away from its major interstate thoroughfare like no other city in the country has done. Every other city has embraced that corridor for development, mostly retail.
We've got dilapidated oil field
and entertainment space, and this city has done the opposite and move and for whatever reason run all of it up to 77 because they think all the people from Hallettsville are going to come shop here and save Victoria. Instead, you've got hundreds of thousands of cars every day, and we have given them no reason to stop on 59 as they make their way from Houston to the valley or the other way.
Can't you picture some natural synergy between the increase in excitement at just a new university? No slam to UHV, no slam to their efforts over the decades, but a resurgence in excitement as A&M comes to town. And couldn't there be some cooperative work between the new A&M Victoria and the county and the city?
Absolutely.
And maybe Askett's a baseball stadium and there's a hotel. Yes.
Everybody needs to embrace this.
There's got to be a way to make a buck
between A&M's engineering department. They even have a law school. Their architectural side
is excellent.
They have a medical side of them. I think there's going to be a lot of downstreams.
I agree.
We'll see some programs. Some of those things would never make sense for Victoria, to be honest. But we'll see some. I think we'll see some support for programs that aren't here now.
It's all about leadership. It's all about leadership. I mean, we need to strengthen our cancer program. We just don't have that. I tried that with MD Anderson, but you know, there's a lot of improvements. But right now, the main thing is don't dump $30 million into a 1960s relic. Like I said, we need to have that exposure, just like You said, Brent.
I'm not as in Ash. You and I talked about this extensively offline because in Ash's other job, he's got to raise money. In Ash's other job, he needs a new baseball facility
And a softball.
There's
and
things
soccer,
that he needs, but
and basketball.
I'm not as polarized on our current city leadership. But I'll tell you this: I'd rather have a snafu once in a while with a guy like Jesus Garza than have complete inactivity that we had from Charmel Garrett for all those years of no, we can't do that. No, we can't
And
do that.
before her.
No, we can't afford that. This town was stagnant, and it was stagnant to the point that it was comical.
And there is a quality of life issue that, I think the community center, well, I don't know. I don't agree. I've got an issue with the rental cars paying for this because that's going to be a tax on local people. That's all that uses our rental cars. We have one rental car place in town, and it's not tourists coming in renting cars. Go in there any day after you've been in a fender bender, and it's a lineup of people with all their insurance paper trying to get a rental car. So it's going to be a local tax. I'll just throw that out there from my experiences there. The hotels, mostly visitors coming in, they'll pay for that. And I think it's a start. I don't believe, knowing the nature of rodeo, Houston has one rodeo a year because it's not something that brings people in every week or twice, for a season. So we'll see. So we're going to have to do some things that we don't do to try to bring people to that facility every day. And these types of facilities, you've got to have events in them 200 days a year or more in order to make them even break even, let alone start paying for themselves. I've done all the math and the numbers on these things. It's astronomical. Most of them don't. That's why Jerry Jones is about the only owner of one of these facilities, but he somehow manages to make money out of it.
Ash, let me tell you something. A few years ago, I was part of the Children's Riding Therapy Center, and I flew up, flew the president of that association, along with his young lady whose husband was a game warden in Hallettsville. We went to Gonzales. Do you know that facility with their rodeos and their cutting shows are booked 2 years in advance? And
Yeah.
then they put the RV sites out there.
Now,
It's
that's not a
packed.
bad idea. If you can charge, Ash and I have noted, and I can give you a great example. This weekend, we've got a baseball tournament for Ryland in San Antonio. We're staying in New Braunfels with in-laws because, it's just too expensive to go and stay in hotels.
Well, and this weekend it's Final Four. You
Yeah.
won't find a hotel for
$1,200.
$400, less than $400 a night if you find one.
The idea that I'm a huge proponent of having the ability to host cutting horse events, roping
Rodeos.
events, it'd be great. But our observation has been that the people that you want to come, they either stay in the sleeper portion of their horse trailer or they will patronize our restaurants. And it's certainly better to have them here than to not have them here. But I don't know if you spend $30 million to get them here. And my only fear is, and then I'll say it, I'm going to pay for it because Jesus Garza is a friend of mine, but I'm going to say it. My only fear is we're building a Taj Mahal police station that's going to belie the fact that we're short of officers. And we're about to put a $30 million coat of paint on a facility that doesn't really meet our needs. And it's 2 boxes he can check on his way to his next job. If I had a 10-year commitment from him to be here, I'd be on board because I know that he's worried about the long-term results. We could end up saddled with $100 million worth of debt here. And at the end of the day, we don't have enough police to fill the cars, and we don't have enough events to fill the community
You don't
center.
have enough fire guys either.
Well, and I don't know who said it up here, but somebody brought up something else. When you start having these events, you need more police and fire
Absolutely.
personnel. A lot of these events will require an ambulance on site.
Yeah.
You know,
You bring in a rodeo, they want an ambulance on site. So you've got to have the personnel available. If you start having concerts, you've got to have police at the concert patrolling inside and outside. They start directing traffic. Do we have there's the thing. Do we have enough personnel? Let's build this thing. Okay. What happens when it's built? The day one it opens up, we have a huge concert there to celebrate it all.
The Eagles?
Maybe.
Okay.
You know,
Do we
I-
have enough police and first responders to even man that job?
I witnessed that plane crash when we had it out here by,
Yep.
I guess that's East High School.
Yes, sir.
There were so many first responders there. Thank God nobody was hurt. And thank God we didn't have another major situation happen on the west side of town.
Right. It would have been a
Because-
mess.
Everybody was there.
There's an interesting term I just read about, and this happens in smaller towns where first responders, we'll go over a little bit of time here. So for those of you on Magic, if you want to listen to this conversation, come on over to Facebook or the YouTube channel.
And thank you, Magic
Yeah.
95.9 for listening. You're the best listeners in Victoria.
But what's interesting is, and I just read about this term, it's called swatting, and I didn't know what it was, and I had to look it up. But organized criminals will create a SWAT incident somewhere to take all the law enforcement, so then it's a diversion, so they can do whatever they're trying to do. I'm not saying that's what would happen here, but you brought up a very good point. If we have one major catastrophe and then there's an incident somewhere else that requires a large response, we're already screwed. What's going to happen if they're
We're
all
in
sitting
trouble.
at a big concert where you've got 3,000 people and trying to direct the traffic out of there on the south side where we don't have good roads?
Melissa Hanson has a very common thought that I actually want to dispel. She says, I wish Victoria Regional Airport had larger aircraft and flew direct out of. Well, what are you doing there? Get out of the way. This dog's having a bad day.
He's having a bad day.
You're on probation. She says, I don't use because of the layover of 1.5 hours. I'd rather drive to Austin in that time and fly direct. I don't know how much you've flown out of Victoria, but I can tell you that when I can go out there, yeah, you've got to get on a 5:30 flight. And yeah, I plan my layover so that I can get breakfast at the airport in Houston. I can park for free. It takes about 1.5 minutes to get on the aircraft. You don't stand now.
If you fly enough, they start knowing you there by name.
Yeah, you go in there and Bobcat Watley goes, "Good morning, Mr. Kamen. How are you?" So free parking. I don't have to literally take my life in my hands to drive to Austin
Or Houston
and
or San
pay
Antonio.
$20 a day to park. Flying out of Victoria, to me, with a little bit of planning, is a dream situation. The plane, that 5:30 flight, is never full. You usually can there's 2 seats to a row. You can sit by yourself. You're comfortable. I sleep the entire 25 minutes you're in the air. 25 minutes to get to Houston.
Yeah.
And then don't worry about that, sir. And Buddy Camen's in here cleaning things up.
But the reason we won't have a larger aircraft and direct flights is there's no demand for it.
Yeah, you're still putting the same 26 people on it. It'll hold 180 people. It's cash.
They wouldn't do it. But no, I mean,
I
yeah,
like flying
I
out
do too.
of,
And most of the flights I take actually connect through Houston, so it makes it real easy.
Derek Lewis says, hey, just fly private. It's the way
Yeah.
to go.
Matt Oker says, why is every city administration convinced itself that it must be all things to all people and all on the backs of taxpayers? I can answer the second part of that question for you.
Democrats.
Because that's the only way they have revenue. And city, in my opinion, most, if not all governments have lost their way on what they're actually supposed to do.
What do you make of it? Says they're dropping police escorts for funerals because there's just not enough officers.
I think it's terrible. I think it's absolutely terrible.
I'm going to tell you something. If one of these days, hopefully a long time from now, you ever kick it, me and Ash are going to escort you.
Okay. Listen, I want to thank both of you for this morning, but
I want to thank you for
more
starting the
importantly,
conversation.
thank you for being the voice of Victoria.
Thank you, sir.
That's truly the most important, because nobody but you guys really bring the issues to the forefront. And you have for many, many years.
We appreciate
that. Thank
Do
you,
notice
sir.
how he read that exactly
The way we
gave it?
wrote it to him. I know.
Mr. Kamen, thank you so much for being such a great friend and friend of Victoria. So thank you for everything you do, sir. Yep. Now I'm going to talk to you about the
Junior says, I've never been delayed out of here. I have once, and it was real foggy. That's the only reason. But he's flown to Europe, and to be able to check your luggage all the way to your final destination, if you fly United, is great.
It's a dream spot. I'm going to tell you about a sense of community, folks. Special thanks to Went Services for being with us today. Went for all your electrical needs, and also friendly competitors for decades. Chestnut Furniture for years and years. It just shows you the quality of the human being that Bobby Leon is, that he and his business are saying, hey, you've got a forum and you want to have one of my old competitors, Buddy Kamen, on your show, go get him. Let's talk about the issues of our community. Chesnick and Love make your house a home. Get by and see why you just always do better at Chesnick. Special thanks to Commander Cody at Brand Us. Go check him out on Facebook. He's already, today we gave him access to be the administrator of the Wade and Carter Facebook page. He's already making changes. I think if you go, you'll see his glossy 8x10 on our page. I think he just superimposed, it's like usually me
He
and
took a
Ash,
picture of Cody Jenks and stuck
and like
it up
his
there.
head's in there, like this.
Well, Riker's on there too. It's the Cody and Riker show now.
There it
It's
is.
like this. Wade and Carter and Junior.
Junior, yeah.
There he is. I'm going to put this right here so we have it to look at.
Well, do we have to, please?
Yeah, you're right. I'll put it back on the shelf. Folks, we appreciate you checking in. Thank you for all your opinions. Everybody's got one. And many of you are right at certain times. We try to ferret it all out and appreciate all that you do. Go be safe on the roads today, folks, and we love you. We'll talk to you mañana.
Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.
Well, I've been kicked out of my near every bar.